Well, hello and welcome everybody. Hope that you're doing good, and time to talk about Dynamax Entei that's coming this weekend alongside Vanilla Community Day and the day before it, of course. What's going to be the best battle prep? What are you going to need to attack it? What are you going to need to defend and heal? Let's take you through the best strategy to take on this Dynamax Legendary this coming weekend. Of course, we're going to build our team at the tail end of the guide as well to see what I'm going to utilize. Dynamax Entei is actually going to cost you 800 max particles as is per normal with a Dynamax or Gigantamax kind of legendary Pokemon. This weekend, you'll have the bonus of getting 1600 particles per day. So it's a little boost on the old particle collection, which is going to be needed. It'll be a 1 in 20 shiny rate, but given my personal success on Raikou, you may do more and get nothing. You can check out the Raikou weekend video if you fancy it up there. So Entei, of course, is a pure fire type Pokemon, meaning it's weak to water, ground, and rock. And your 100% CP is 1984. Remember that one. These can't be weather boosted. Diving straight into the attackers on this one, and I will state immediately, thanks to Pokemon Go Hub for their guides and information and everything like that, but that's probably not the optimum attacking squad, shall we say. I would probably say that Gmax Blastoise should be further up. Gmax Kingler, obviously the Gigantamax Pokemon are going to dominate this meta, so if you have a Gmax Kingler or Blastoise, utilize those as attackers. Apparently, Mudshot as a ground move on Kingler is going to do better damage than having the water type move, but of course Gmax Pokemon are locked into one particular move, so it will be a water type, a Gmax move for Kingler. And then you very quickly find yourself utilizing the water type Dmax Pokemon, which are somewhat more easily obtainable, so plenty of you, I'm sure, may have had a chance to get a Squirtle or a Sobble. Inteleon Dynamax with Water Gun obviously means it's got the water type attack, same with Kingler. I would personally stray away from Excadrill just because, as we'll find out later, Entei has a pretty much solid fire type move selection which will one-shot KO your Excadrill because it's part Steel type. Your general bulky kind of OG Gmax Pokemon is, of course, Gengar. I would swap in the Dynamax Blastoise in place of Excadrill personally. That's a better tank and you may be able to do actually super effective damage with it. Before we crack into the defenders and healers, of course, a massive thanks to every single person over on the Patreon squad who are the bedrock and the backbone of what we're able to continue doing here, providing hopefully some entertainment and Pokemon Go shenanigans here on the internet. So I really appreciate every single one of you for your continued and pledged support, pushing the channel that much further, because without you guys, it would not be possible. So greatly appreciate every single one of you. Quick note before we dive into the defenders, obviously Gmax Lapras has been left off of this attacking list because its Gmax move is Resonance, and that's locked to being an ice type attack, which won't be super effective versus Entei. There's not much surprise here with the defenders, so top of the pile is going to be Blissey Dmax, which I got one ready for Gmax Snorlax last weekend. Hopefully you have one as well. Chansey, I believe, is still in the cycle at the moment. Gmax Blastoise is still a really good tank, so it might be worthwhile putting one of those in your team if you have it. Dynamax Kingler perhaps maybe a little bit glassy. Gmax Snorlax, on the other hand, is very much going to be a good tank, and you want Lick on that to provide the fastest charging effect to get your max meter up. Then you find yourself with Inteleon Dynamax and then Lapras Gmax. I would just say avoid Gmax Lapras personally because the ice type, water type thing could mean it's a bit more susceptible to those fire moves. I would again say you could probably throw in Dmax Blastoise in here, given it's a bit more common and accessible and much more defense focused, shall we say, than Inteleon. Of course, your defending Pokemon are the ones you want to have the max guard move on. However, I personally find when we're doing these Dmax and Gmax battle days and weekends, I use the Spirit a lot more than the guard, so you might want to prioritize a healer over the defender. And speaking of the healers, there's no surprise here that Blissey tops the charts again. So Dmax Blissey gets the guard and, more importantly, the spirit move to tier 3 if you can do this week. But it's nice to see Greedent popping back up again. That's another normal type Pokemon. In fact, we can tell that Pokemon Go Hub is slightly off kilter with this one because you can see Gmax Lapras is recommended, but then below it is Dynamax Lapras that isn't in the game. So again, I'm going to say if you want a decent healer, swap out the Dmax Lapras that's listed there, put your Dmax Blastoise in. Honestly, there's no harm in necessarily having 3 Dynamax Blastoise if that's all you have accessible. You can train one to be an attacker, one to be a healer, one to be a defender. And of course, Gmax Snorlax, if you got one last weekend, get that spirit all the way up to tier 3. I'm quite looking forward to this one. Entei, I don't have a hundo of it. It's my favorite of the Johto beasts, so pretty excited to go chasing for hopefully a Dynamax of this one. A few bits of battle information, of course we go through this. Basically, you want to spam the fast move as much as you can do because it's to do with the energy taken versus the attack animation, and fast moves are much more efficient in regaining the energy to put towards your max meter. So when you're in the normal part of the battle with your tiny little Pokemon versus the Dynamax or Gigantamax boss, spam your fast moves, don't hit the charge attack, just get the max meter up to max. Once you Dynamax or Gigantamax, then you can hit your maximum move and decide between your team if you're going to go for the attack or the heal. You can see what I mean by Entei's move pool is it's very, very fire type focused, and until recently, it's not really had any other types of moves. Iron Head was introduced several years ago, Scorching Sands I think only last year. So then you've got Overheat, Flamethrower, Fire Blast, Flame Charge is going to be quite spammy, Scorching Sands is quite spammy, and then Iron Head. That's why I'm saying stray away from the Excadrill, because Excadrill is weak to 5 of those 6 charge moves. Let's dive into the game and make our Dynamax Entei team, shall we? Don't forget you can hit the Pokeball menu, go to the Battle tab, scroll over to your parties, and scroll all the way down, you'll find your power spots. Now you can see my Dynamax Raikou team is there. That's the one we're going to modify. So Dynamax Entei, how are we going to play this? Oh, by the way, this morning I managed to get a shiny Wooloo Dynamax. So, hey, let's have a look and see what we want to do. Obviously, you want to put your 2 tanks in first. That would be your healer / defender, or if you're going to go 2 healers. In terms of sheer bulk, obviously, Blissey, we have this thing maxed out on Spirit. That's going to go in slot number 1. Due to Entei's moveset, it's also why Metagross, for once, isn't even featured in the meta, because it's weak to fire and to ground type attacks. What I'm going to do is put in my lucky shiny G-Max Snorlax. That's 93%. That is going to be worked on over the course of this week. We'll probably level 58, get the max moves to, in fact, if I check, Max Spirit is tier 3 and even tier 2 attack. Now, this is where it gets a bit tricky, because in terms of attackers, we have our G-Max Kingler, which would probably be the best bet. It has the max moves done. I don't have a decent G-Max Blastoise. I only did 2 battles for it, so the other option would be the Dynamax Blastoise. I think it's fair to say we're going to go with the G-Max Kingler on this one, but I would definitely say Dynamax Blastoise for anybody who hasn't got Gigantamax Pokemon is going to be the best option. It's fairly tanky when you're not Dynamaxed, and when you are Dynamaxed, it's obviously going to provide super effective damage. There we go, that's our 1 remaining team sorted. That is Dynamax Entei covered, so let me know, are you excited for Dynamax Entei? And of course, I'm fully aware that not everybody is able to take advantage of this battle system, and not everybody is terribly interested, which is totally fair enough. Be aware that this is a Dynamax battle. Dynamax means lobby of 4. You're going to need to strategize a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw people doing duos and possibly solos of Dynamax Entei over the course of the weekend. So before we finish up, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and definitely stick around for the Pokemon Go content, because coming up, the 24-hour challenge that we did last week is ready and it's going to be uploaded tomorrow. There's a live premiere at 9 PM BST. You should find the link on the channel at the end here. Definitely join for that one. Live chat going down. We'll watch the 24-hour challenge, getting a bunch of shinies and having some insane luck. Thanks everybody who interacted on Instagram as well during the course of that challenge. But I will say, until the next time, do take care.